will be assisting our moderator tonight. She's going to be moderating the chat box. Okay, so here's some simple Zoom instructions. If you're using a PC, please make sure to mute. Keep yourself muted. For the chat box, if you go up to the toolbar at the top of the page and click on chat, that will open the chat box so you can see what the people participating in the meeting are saying, and we'll also be using that later if we have time for additional questions. If you're by phone, just hit *6 to toggle to mute and unmute your phone. And now I will ask our secretary, Joanne, to do the introduction and roll call for candidates.
Hi there. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. The candidates roll call. Stephen Arnst.
Here.
Aisha Gordon. Aisha Gordon. Scott Herman. Scott Herman, if you're here.
Whoops, sorry.
It's okay. Grisha Rivas Smith.
Here.
Mitch Rosenwald.
Here.
Robert Thompson. Robert Thompson.
One of them yet. I'm here.
Okay. And Matthew Sparks.
I'm here.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you, Joanne. And now I'm going to introduce our moderator for this evening, who is Mr. Charles Camacho. Charles is the founding member of the Oakland Park Business Group, and whose goal is to, and commitment is to the success of Oakland Park businesses by bringing members, city staff, and elected officials together to network, create, and innovate new opportunities and partnerships. You'll often see Charles all over town patronizing our local businesses or at commission meetings, lobbying on their behalf. Charles has moderated for us before in the past, and we're so grateful that he agreed to moderate for us this year. Charles, you take it away.
Good evening, everybody. So just go over some form guidelines. I wanted to thank the board, thank everybody for participating tonight. We know how important this election is, locally as well as nationally, but most of all locally, as we can have immediate impact and change in our community. So I want to thank everybody for taking their ownership into their community and putting their best foot forward and running a good campaign from what we've seen so far in the community. So congratulations to all our candidates on a successful campaign so far. And also want to thank COPNA for bringing me back out and having me moderate for you folks tonight. So thank you so much and great work with this presentation. Scott and I went through a presentation run last night and make sure we had all the bugs out and make sure everything was smooth and seamless. So thanks, Scott, for all your efforts. We appreciate you. So just to go over some forum guidelines, I was presented to the candidates. The candidates' names have been arranged in a random order. Predetermined order. The moderator will call on each candidate to do a 2-minute self-introduction. 26 questions submitted by COPNA members have been assigned a letter A through Z that only the moderator and COPNA secretary have knowledge of. The questions were supplied to the candidates 1 week before the forum, excuse me. Each candidate in the same order will select a letter A through Z to answer the corresponding question. The candidate will then have 2 minutes to respond to the question. Timekeeper will hold up a card identifying the time remaining, 20 seconds, 10 seconds, and time is up. Another candidate may then make a 1-minute secondary response to the same question by typing response in that chat box on the first come, first served order. Each candidate will randomly choose 3 questions by letter A through Z. Each candidate will make only 3 secondary responses. In total, 21, 3 questions times 7 candidates Out of 26 possible questions will be asked within the scheduled time. Time permitting, all 26 questions may be asked. We ask the candidates stick to their own accomplishments and goals and reasons for running for office and not deflect attention by discrediting another candidate while answering questions. We did not allow time for back and forth defense. Candidates were asked to print this page in alphabet below and mark off the questions are called to avoid repeating. Folks, are we all on the same page? Do all our candidates have their form guidelines in the print? Just want to make sure. Can we make sure of that?
I've got them.
Aisha has it? I'm
Yeah.
sorry. No, Drescher has it? Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Matthew?
I got them.
Okay.
I have them as well, thank you.
Okay, so we have the order of 2-minute self-introduction by each candidate, and we're going to have Gracia start us off.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. First and foremost, thank you to the Corals of Oakland Park Neighborhood Association for hosting this candidate forum, and of course, in efforts to helping our residents make an informed decision on November 3rd. For those of you who do not know me or know of me, my name is Grecia Rivas Smith, candidate for commissioner in the city of Oakland Park. I am the mother of 2 beautiful school-age children, the wife of a law enforcement officer, a mental health advocate, and a proud Navy veteran. Above all, I am passionate about community involvement and volunteerism, which is why I'm running for office. As a veteran, dedication to service became second nature. I fell in love with doing things as a team, as a division, and as a unit. As a former city employee, I have grown to understand and empathize with residents regarding the concerns within the community that matter to them the most, as well as being able to understand the intricacies of working with city commissioners, the processes that take place, and also working in conjunction with our city manager's office and our city staff. And as Oakland Park's next city commissioner, I plan to combine my experience in both roles to serve and represent the residents of Oakland Park as we work towards protecting the values of our community through civic engagement, strengthening our public safety, and achieving sustainable economic growth. Again, my name is Grecia Rivas Smith, and I look forward to earning your support in bringing meaningful and diversified change to the city of Oakland Park. To learn more about my campaign and how to get involved, we do invite you to visit our website at www.greciasmith.com. Together, we can and will march Oakland Park forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next up is Steve Arnst for your 2-minute self-introduction, sir.
Thank you. And thank you to the Corals of Oakland Park for having this, because every year they go beyond themselves, and you know, this is just a great thing for everyone, and I'm glad to see that more people can get involved this year. My name's Steve Arnst, 61 years old. I've been your city commissioner before. I've been involved in the city for going on 30 years now. I've lived in the city for 36 years. I'm the only candidate up there that has knowledge of just about every rule, every regulation, how the city runs, the budgets, how the budgets are prepared, and how to work with a budget. And I'm asking you to your vote this November 3rd, because I've seen a lot of stuff in the city, especially downtown, especially with the changing of the regulations of the Dixie mixed use regulations up to 90 feet, which is.
I'm honestly not sure I took that picture, period.
Someone's mic isn't muted. And I'm just not happy with the budget this year. They lowered the millage rate because they're short on cash, but then again, they're borrowing $3 million from their fund, their reserve fund, and they have no idea how they're going to repay it. The first thing you do on a year that your budget is short, you don't lower the millage rate. You need to borrow money, you need to borrow money, but you don't lower the millage rate. And downtown, they're spending close to $20 million to rent a city hall when they can own the property right now where the city hall is, and they could rebuild it for a lot less money and wouldn't be beholden to a landlord for wasting money on rent. But I believe most every one of you out there owns your own house and doesn't rent. And the reason you own your own house is because you have something at the end of the mortgage. I'm asking you again, please vote for me November 3rd. I'm your most knowledgeable and most experienced candidate out there. And as you've seen before, I will get the job done. I'll keep your taxes low and I'll keep your services high, and I will get the job done downtown. I was the one of the 5 that made the rules and voted on the rules for downtown, and now they're being bastardized by the city commission and not any even discussion about it.
Stephen, your time is up.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, Stephen. Let's, folks, please remember 2 minutes. Thank you very much. Mitch Rosenwald, please.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you to COPNA for hosting this, and for everybody watching, and for my fellow candidates for stepping up for the call to public service. My name is Mitch Rosenwald, running for Oakland Park City Commission. I've lived in Oakland Park for 7 years now, and I'm very invested. Every year I'm increasingly invested in this city. I'm originally from Maryland, so of course I like seafood. I just went to Catfish Stewie's today. But more importantly, I care about this city, and I have the leadership that counts and the experience that matters to help helm this city as one of 5 commissioners on the dais. A little bit about me. Most of you probably know, with a great team, including some people here, we founded COPNA a few years ago. I was fortunate to be elected and re-elected as president. And since then, in the past couple years, I worked with actually at least 1 or 2 members on this audience to form the Neighborhood Coalition of Oakland Park, which brings residents from different neighborhoods together. And we had a forum on safety in Oakland Park. We were going to have a forum on traffic issues in April. Unfortunately, the pandemic delayed that. But this was a neighborhood-run, city-wide effort for civic engagement. Also, my leadership is demonstrated through the pandemic response. Since April, I started a near weekly Saturday podcast called Oakland Park Community Check-In. I've had people from, actually Mayor Sparks was on, and Vice Mayor Bolin, all the way to this coming Saturday. We have our new school board member, Sarah Leonardi, coming on to talk about the pandemic in the schools, as well as crisis response from fire rescue, and our medical director, John Kuna. So I have the leadership and the commitment in Oakland Park to make a difference. By way of background, I have a master's in 20 seconds. By way of background, I have a master's and doctorate in social work. I'm a social worker who cares, but I also do research and I'm data driven. I teach at Barry University, and I'm the past president of the Social Workers for Florida. So I have executive management experience with budgets and evaluating executive. Thank you.
Thanks, Mitch. Did Aisha join us? Aisha Gordon. Going once, going twice. Okay, Aisha, we're going to move on. Robert Thompson, you're on deck.
Good evening. I'd like to thank COPNA for having this forum for us this year. Again, my name is Robert Thompson. I'm a business owner, 15 years in the construction industry. I'm a former firefighter, a former state representative out of New Hampshire. I won 2 terms in New Hampshire, former active duty United States Navy. I graduated the local government academy in 2018. I've been a volunteer with the city for 5 years. I've lived in Oakland Park for 6 years, and all of that on the west side. I am a father of 3 children, 2 stepchildren, and 2 grandchildren. I've been married to 10 years to my husband and campaign manager, and I bring a unique skill set by the fact that I've had experience as a state representative, working on budgets and passing laws that affect the entire population of the state. Although that state only has a population the size of Broward County, it still was important work that I did. I'm pretty involved in the community here. I'm active in adult sports and a lot of the community organized sports programs here in Oakland Park, Wilton Manor, Fort Lauderdale. As a firefighter, I have some city experience working with the city and for the city and doing those types of things. And I think that brings, and my age of 62 brings a different skill set and some specialized experience that would be beneficial to our city of Oakland Park. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Scott Herman, did he join us? Scott Herman. Going once, going twice. Okay, we're moving on. Mr. Matthew Sparks.
Well, good evening and thank you to the COPNA members. My name is Matthew Sparks and many of you remember me from my dedicated ground campaign walking the entire city in 2016 when we had the opportunity to meet in person with many residents, listening to their concerns and comments. And it has been my absolute pleasure to serve as commissioner, vice mayor, and currently as your mayor, guiding the city through this pandemic while keeping the business and development of Oakland Park on track and moving forward. My main reason for running for re-election is while we have numerous projects in many different stages, I want to see the currently planned vision for Oakland Park through to its fruition and beyond. Throughout my past 4 years, I've learned that what residents value is fiscal responsibility and transparency, and above all else, that residents be engaged and their opinions be heard when it comes to the decisions I make from the dais. As the only incumbent running for 3 open seats, I have a unique bank of knowledge that will be imperative to both continuing the work currently before the commission as well as the ability to hit the ground running if elected for a second term. I'm also committed to representing both the diverse residents of Oakland Park as well as supporting our Oakland Park business community throughout the entire city. As mayor, I'm proud to lead visibly from the dais, breaking stigmas through both action and education, and it's my honor to be invited to participate in this forum. I humbly ask for your support when you cast your ballot on November 3rd. And for more information, please visit my website at www.matthewsparks2020.com.
Thank you, Mr. Sparks. Sorry about that, guys. We're going to do a roll call. Aisha, does she join us? Aisha Gordon?
Okay, I took myself off of mute. So yes, I am here.
Hi, Aisha. How are you?
Hi, I'm fine. How are
You
you?
have your 2 minutes starting now for your introduction.
Okay, perfect. So good evening, everyone. I would like to thank the Corals of Oakland Park Neighborhood Association for hosting this great event. I hope everyone is doing well and staying safe during the COVID-19 pandemic. My name is, again, Aisha Gordon. I am the proud mother of 2 and grandmother of 4. My family have lived in the city since 2005 when my area was annexed by Oakland Park. And I am asking you for your vote on November 3rd to elect me as one of your qualified city commissioners. I have over 25 years of experience as a successful business professional. I hold an MBA degree with the concentration in business and management and business management and entrepreneurship, pardon me. I attended the local government class of 2020. I'm a licensed community association manager. I have served as president of my homeowners association for the past 16 years. I am a mentor to youth, women, and family members, and I am a community leader. As your commissioner, your concerns will be put on the forefront of my agenda. Safety, bridging the gap between development of the east and west side of the city, mitigating traffic control and reckless driving in residential neighborhoods. I will protect our nature preserve area while establishing clean, green, and sustainable spaces in the city. I will engage the youth in local government, advocate for senior citizen center. I will continue to listen to your concerns and advocate on your behalf if I am elected. In my conclusion, people don't really care about how much you know until they know how much you care. And I sincerely care. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Aisha.
You're welcome.
Aisha, quick question. Did you have a copy of the form guidelines and so forth when we went over? I want to make sure that everybody who attended after we started wanted to make sure that they were all on the same page. Do you have a form guidelines printed out for you?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic.
Yes, I received that via email.
Okay.
I want to say I apologize sincerely. I was in another meeting.
No worries. Just wanted to make sure you had what you needed.
Yes.
In front of you. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, so we will get into, I guess, our question time. And the first question, please remember who you follow. Okay, folks, is going to go out to Gracia Rivelli Smith. Choose a letter A through Z.
Let's go with G for Grecia.
Okay, D. If elected, what 3 steps would you take to our city on a firmer financial footing?
I think she said G
I
instead
said
of
G.
G.
I'm sorry, you said G?
G, yes.
Okay, pardon, G. Okay, City Hall may one day be attending the new Oakland Park Square building. How do you feel about that? How should the land that the city sits on now be developed?
Thank you. I want to say I think it's a great project that has been presented before the commission. But I would say that my only thing with City Hall being in a mixed-use development, I firmly stand by the fact that our city official buildings should be a standalone building, and mostly for the reason that when you visit other cities and states, usually our City Hall buildings or where city official business takes place, they're more of a sense of a monumental place for us, and we'll be losing a sense of that if we go into partnership in a mixed-use development. But other than that, I think it's a great development. And if we were to if we were to follow through with that, in terms of where the City Hall sits now, what should be developed, I think when you look around it, you have a lot of residential community and you have a lot of businesses that are going up and things of that nature. So keeping something that's consistent with what's already there. I love that it's centrally located by our library. So whether it's expanding those facilities for that neighboring community, or if it's bringing new businesses to the community so that we can, obviously generate more revenue and get more foot traffic in our downtown area. That's something that I would certainly consider. But I do certainly think that while it's a great project, I would love to see our City Hall remain as a standalone building. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any secondary responses?
I typed in response. I don't know if they got it.
Okay.
No, I'm not seeing that.
I typed in a response, but
Okay, you go. You got 1 minute, sir.
real quickly, I do not want to see City Hall going over there. It's not a good idea because, like I say, we're renting the place. The land, they're using the land that City Hall sits on, plus the park and everything. You're going to lose the park because they're going to sell that land to make up for the development for the money they're having to put in for the rent over there. And then they're going to take the church property and turn that into, quote, Greenleaf Park. So how they're going to move that big, beautiful tree there, even though it's a ficus tree, I don't know how. So I don't agree with it one bit. Don't get me wrong. I love the development over there. I don't like it 90 feet high. 68 feet should be the top of it. But they're doing that because they can't, the project isn't going to make any money if they leave it at 68 feet. But if City Hall goes in there, you can just about bet that they're going to be selling the property that City Hall is on right now.
You have 10 seconds, Steve.
One more thing I want to say is that we should rebuild City Hall. We'll own it, and then we won't have to worry about wasting money on rent.
And your time's up.
Thank you, Steve. Any other secondary responses, Dawn?
I do not see any typed in, no.
Okay, we'll be moving on. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Gracia. Stephen, you're up on the questions. What's your?
How about A for Arnst?
A for Arnst. Okay. That should be up on the screen. If you could change one thing in our zoning code, what would it be and why?
It's real simple. I mean, I've just been talking about it. I would change the mixed use from what it is at 90 feet back down to 68 feet. I mean, it's pretty obvious. When we made the downtown districts back in the early 2000s, we made it so it would be tiered because we didn't want to intrude on the neighborhoods. So it would be tiered up on low on the ends, high in the middle, and Park Place is in the middle, which would be 90 feet, then down to 38 feet, plus if you get incentives by doing public amenities. But when they jacked it up to 90 feet, it just, what it does, it totally wipes out what we did all these years ago. And we had really good people who walked us through this thing, and they're doing it just to take this developer and change the zoning for one developer, because this is my time up.
No.
This developer is going to be able to make the project work because of the 90 feet, but it's not going to work for the neighborhood. And that was the main thing when we made downtown. We wanted to make sure it didn't intrude on the neighbors, and right now it's intruding on the neighbors. And this is the first thing that I'd like to see the zoning change back to what it was.
Thank you, Steve. Hey, Dawn, do we have any secondaries?
Yes, Mitch would like to respond.
Yes, I'd like to, for the record, say I also, as a commissioner, one of the first things I'd like to do is review those 390 feet parcels and bring them back down to 68 feet. But much more broadly, aside from what was called DMUD, and we now call it OP3, I'd like to see broad zoning code directions. So, land use in general for our west side, for the power line corridor, as well as for Prospect. We have a wonderful plan for broadening our DMUD and reimagining it as OP3D, but we need to have that same caliber of thought and investment for what I identify as 3 other areas of the city.
Thank you, Mitch. Dawn, any more?
No response.
Did Robert Thompson have a response to that?
I do not see a response from him.
Okay.
I did put in response. I'm not sure why it didn't get sent.
Yeah, I see it there as well. Robert, you have an opportunity. Go ahead, Robert. 1 minute.
With the raising of the height to 90 feet, I was looking at the previous zoning. Now, the properties to the south of it are 90 feet. There's a part of it that's 90 feet. And the projects to the north of the Oakland's, the City Hall building project and the Dixie lots, as we call them, was 78 feet. So there's no real continuity to height. We got 78, then 68, and then 90. And then, so they want to, they're basically extending that 90-foot height. And they're not talking about actually building to 90 feet. There's concern with power lines, and the high power lines cannot be moved to build the buildings, to put a walkway between the buildings. And it's because of the type of power lines they would have to bury them from basically from one part of Dixie Highway, the other side of Dixie Highway, all the way to the transformers that are over by the park. And it's a very, very large project to do. If they were able to drop them in that small area and then bring them back up, it's different, but it's such a long run, it becomes cost prohibitive. And it's really for a bridge. When I've gone over, gone over the plans several times, and it looks like they're adding 1 story, and they haven't even given a definitive height to the building yet, because they don't know what that
Your time is up, Robert.
power lines. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. I see another response. Is this correct? Gracia, do you want to respond to this?
Yes, I want to say that I believe that most responses are great, but to answer to Robert's response was that I think it kind of misled the residents into, while they did ask for the Sky Bridge, it almost sets the precedent for future development to come in. And most residents are really just asking for, I had one resident, which I'm sure she contacted the others too, was like, can we do a shadow study? Can we see how this development is going to impact the surrounding communities? Which is something that we definitely need to take into account when we are welcoming new development, is how is it aesthetically going with the businesses that are in that local vicinity, and also with the community, and how is it impacting them environmentally, traffic wise, all of those things of that nature. So it's something that we have to consider. Thank you.
Any more responses, Dawn? Do you see anything?
No, I do not see any more responses.
Thank you. So we're going with number 3, Mitch Rosenwald.
Well, I have to go with M.
Was that N for Nancy or M for Mary?
M for Mitch.
Okay, I want to make sure. M for Mitch. Okay, question should be up in a sec. The past 2 years, what community involvement have you participated in that you feel best prepares you to lead this city as a commissioner?
I think my experience the past 2 years really demonstrates, not just saying what I aspire to, but I think I've demonstrated my care for the residents. So for example, as I said, organizing or working with some of you on COPNA, wonderful people to frankly have such a great organization that it can host its now second candidates night. And also while we were temporarily sidetracked, the coalition, which we have at least one member, or actually 3 members present on this call, this was really a time to talk about issues of safety and traffic and development. We had brainstormed a whole list. So I've been involved with that. And of course, this Saturday podcast. But beyond that, I'm a member of Kiwanis. I've worked with various churches and groups in the city. I'm a volunteer along with Steve and Robert, and actually with all of us, I think we're all volunteers. So I think I have a real good pulse on what the needs are, all the way from, 31st Avenue to Federal Highway. I have worked with people around the city. Remember, I'm a social worker. What I do for a living is to listen to needs and find solutions to them. So I feel I don't just feel I'm very prepared, I am very prepared with my community involvement to take me to this next level. Thanks.
Thank you, Mitch. Any responses?
No, I do not see any responses.
Okay, moving right along. Aisha Gordon, please. Your question, your selection. Number 4, Aisha.
I took myself off of mute.
Okay, fantastic. What letter are you choosing?
Well, my first name starts with A, my last name starts with G, so I'm going to change the format a little and say G.
Well, I believe G was already taken.
Okay, then I'll do T.
T, as in Thomas?
T as in my daughter's name, Tarika.
Beautiful. Okay, T. Question should be coming right up on the screen. What makes you stand out from other candidates?
What makes me stand out from other candidates? I believe that I bring a unique sincerity that is not very common when it comes to, it's just not a very common attribute. So I think all of the candidates are, I think we have a wonderful group of candidates. So I believe that I can, out of 2 candidates, I believe that can be one of the top 2s of qualified candidates. I don't know if that quite answered the question, but I have my experience, my education, my community involvement, my passion to serve people, my long life experiences as a mother, as a business leader, my unique certifications certainly stands out on this panel.
20 seconds.
That's it.
Okay, thank you. We have some responses for this, please. Dawn?
Yes, I believe Grisha, did you want to respond?
Yes, thank you. I believe I possess a few qualities. I'll start by saying that, I'm Latina, so I can definitely speak to that diverse community. I'm bilingual, so I'll be able to not only, I can come from both perspectives, especially when it comes to our Black and Brown communities. My husband is in law enforcement. We are rooted in public service again, and he's a Black law enforcement. So again, we come from several different perspectives. I have had experience in local government, working directly with city commissioners, city managers, city staff, members of the community, faith-based organizations. So I understand the intricacies again as it applies to doing the job from an internal aspect and external aspect. I am a prior military service. I bring in leadership and team working skills that I believe will definitely be of substantial use on the city commission, something that you don't find out here in the civilian world. I've tried finding it. So I would hope that it helps serve my community to the maximum capacity that I am able to.
And your time's up.
And I hear my time. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Dawn, we have another response?
Yes, Stephen?
Thank you, Dawn.
Thank you. Well, what makes me stand out is my experience, my knowledge of the city, of living in the city for 36 years. I've run meetings before. I've learned how to create, get consensus with people who I'm on the losing side of votes with. I know how to get the job done. I can sit there the first day, walk in there and hit the ground running. I'm the only one that challenges every one of the commissioners, and most of the times that my responses just get looked over. But I'm the one that challenges the city manager. He should be living in the city. Every time he comes up for that, I say that. And I'm the one that challenges the city this last meeting on the budget. No one else on these candidates has said anything about the budget. I found ways to lower the budget, and no one even wanted to listen.
And your time's up, Steve.
Thank you, Steve. A couple more responses there, Dawn?
Yes, Mitch is next.
Okay, Mitch.
Yeah, I just wanted
1
to
minute.
elaborate on one skill set I have. I was president of the National Association of Social Workers for several years. This was a 5,800 member organization in Florida. So with that, we actually instituted an evaluation of the executive director. He had not been evaluated for quite a while. And we had, I created a evaluation that I think it was 18 members on the board all used. And then we had data on strengths and areas of follow-up. This is something that's lacking right now, is that, I mean, I think the commissioners certainly do evaluate the city manager, but there's no universal evaluation. And on his areas of growth, diplomatically, of course, I think they need to be followed up with publicly, in a diplomatic way. I also have experience with budget oversight and with mobilizing communities from that position, and I've combined that with my experience in the city. Thank you.
Dawn, do we have another?
Yes, Robert would like to respond.
Robert. Mr.
Well,
Thompson?
what makes me stand up from one of the candidates? I'm 6'5". But just to be a little levity here, let's have a little laugh here because it's supposed to be fun. I'm 6'5", and again, but I think my state representative position gave me different insight on how we can build a consensus to get a bill passed, how you build a consensus to get a budget passed, how you build consensus, and how you need to work to get those types of things passed. And I think my time in the legislature is beneficial to that. And as a city volunteer, I've been working at the food distribution for 22 weeks now, every Thursday. If I was to go there, and I think the leaders that are running that, the people that are actually employees of the cities that were running that, if I was to go there, I could probably run that for them now because I have been able to do that, and I do it every day. And it's almost like it's gotten to be so mechanical for me that I go in. There's certain things that I do, but if they assign me something, they know that they can go get something else done, and they know it's going to be done, and the leadership qualities it takes to run that.
Robert.
But thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Dawn.
Matthew Sparks next.
Matthew.
Just had to find the unmute button, sorry. I'm hearing a lot of, I'm not going to get into debates. So I'm just going to say, as the currently seated mayor who has led this city through a pandemic, as well as having served the city for the past 4 years, I believe I'm uniquely qualified to continue to serve, as well as lead the city commission at this particular time in history. And that's what one of the questions or parts of it is at this time in history. you know, there are other times in history when other things happened, and that has brought us to this point. So I'm absolutely up to date on what is going on with the city. I know some people follow the city, some people question the city, but actually what is going on in the city and what is going on behind the, you know, behind the doors, I'm uniquely qualified in that aspect. Thank you, and I yield the balance of my time.
Thank you, Matthew. Okay, so just a reminder, folks, on your responses, not questions that you choose, on your responses, you're only allowed 3. So we've eaten up the first one for most folks here. So just a reminder, you know, on your secondary responses, you only allow 3 of them, okay? We're moving along. Robert Thompson's up next.
Oh, let's see. Why don't you give me R, please?
Okay, I guess the R for Robert Thompson, huh?
Yeah, I guess I kind of follow a trend here.
Okay, sounds good. What is the one major issue you plan to address?
The one major issue that I have, and I because of COVID, you know, we can't campaign like, you know, like Matthew did 4 years ago and going door to door and meeting as many people as you can. And I'm kind of a retail politics kind of guy. I like to shake hands and ask. So I've been following a lot of the social media that you can find, you know, the Nextdoor sites and Facebook and several other places that you can get information from people and look at their postings. And what I see is that we have a serious problem, and it ultimately comes down to a public safety problem. Speeding in our streets, making our streets the racetracks that everybody wants to drive on, and I guess they don't want to spend the money to go. But so what I've done, and I've actually taken a leadership role in this in my own neighborhood, out in the forest, the Oakland forest area. You know, it's 1 mile around, just a little over 1 mile around, and we get people that seem like they're doing 50 and 55, 60 miles an hour through the neighborhood. And so we got in touch with the county people, we got in touch with the city manager's office and the Tammy over at the Broward Sheriff's Office in Oakland Park. And they put a billboard up, basically telling you to watch for residents, you know, watch for pedestrians, the speed limit is 25 miles an hour. They monitored that for a while, then they sat out here for a few days and they ticketed people. And we got like 14 days worth of ticketing that created 28 violations. And to my surprise, there were some speeding violations in there, but the biggest one was the stop sign violations, people running the stop signs. So to me, running a stop sign is going to create more of an issue because you got somebody speeding at 50 miles an hour, they're going to collide with a car that's run a stop sign, and then you have pedestrians on the sidewalk that may be involved. We don't have any crosswalks marked out here. From what I understand now, after more research, we found out that the
20 seconds.
condo associations painted the sidewalks, I mean, the crosswalks. But I've been working as a leadership ability to try to get these type of issues resolved, and that would be my plan to try to do it in the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Any responses, Dawn?
I do not see any responses.
Okay. So we got to Scott Herman. Did he join us? Does anybody know?
I do not believe so.
Okay, just making sure. Want to be fair. Mr. Matthew Sparks, it's your first question, sir. Unmute.
Sorry, I'm just getting used to some of these things too. So why don't we go with Z?
Z.
Z.
Okay.
Random.
The city's the proud owner of the Omega Church property at 1300 Northeast 38th Street. How do you think that property should be developed and why?
Let me just, I was hoping that we would connect the numbers with the letters, but let me see. I apologize. I know I'm eating up my time, but I kept my feedback short. I apologize. The church should be leveled, and we should use that property for tennis courts, basketball, and a playground, as well as removing a portion of the parking lot to create a park. And that is, some of these I kept very short and very sweet, and that's my thought on the church, because we all know that, I mean, some people are under the impression that the library is going to stay where it is. We know that it's not. It's moving over to Collins. So I know that what is being spoken of is a potential movement of a shifting of buildings. So I would say that that is a prime location for a park, because we already have many trees there. And as to somebody's previous mention of a ficus tree, that is actually more of although it's rather large, it is considered an invasive tree, or, you know, it's actually dangerous during hurricanes when they tip on their side. So that would be my plan, is there are many trees in the parking lot that we could utilize.
10 seconds.
Thank you.
Dawn, do we have any responses?
Yes, I believe Mitch would like to respond.
Yes, thank you. Ideally, that would become a second park in the Corals. For those people who don't, for some of you who don't know, we have one extremely tiny park at 38th by the traffic circle. And then we rent a park, the city, from Blessed Sacrament, Cherry Creek Park. So there's really no sizable park comparative to certainly like Royal Palm or something, or Sandpine in the Corals. Ideally, the Omega Church property would become parks and recreation with whatever, you know, existing amenities in Greenleaf and plus some. I'd like us to imagine that we can maintain Greenleaf Park and have Omega Park, or whatever we end up calling that. But when I'm on the commission, and if, you know, if it looks like the development might come to where City Hall is, if that's how it leads, and I'm not a fan of running out the City Hall, but if that's where it leads, I would want to work with a developer to at least carve out that Greenleaf Park on the existing lot, and then still have the other space. We know urban parks are good for our mind and our body, and after all, the second word in our city's name.
Use time's up, Mitch.
Thank you, Mitch. Any other responses, Dawn?
No.
Okay. Well, we're moving to our second question. Going back to the top of the order, we are looking for Gracia, please, for your second question. Which letter?
I'm going to go with L.
L. L is still available. Okay. What neighborhood do you live in? Why? And where are your favorite places to spend time in Oakland Park?
A fun question. I live in North Andrews Garden, the best community. No, I'm just kidding. We have a lot of great communities, but I will say that I favor mine because we are so diverse here. I love driving around Oakland Park and seeing different communities and what they offer. And obviously, naturally, we compare houses and yards and things like that. But my community is just so diverse. We have, senior citizens here. We have younger people. We have some children. We've got LGBT right down the road. It's just such a good blend and mix of people, and they're also friendly and nice. Some of my favorite places to spend, Royal Palm Park is actually one of my favorite, and most parks in Oakland Park, because I have children. So my kids always want to go to the park. Any opportunity that we get, we go there. But that is one of my favorites. The open space, the lake, the overpass. You can see people working out there. You can work out yourself. You've got the nature trail, and we love trying different cuisines. I love El Cuscatlan. It's in El Salvadoran place. That's the closest that I can get to my Honduran cuisine. My kids love ice cream, so they like any ice cream shop in Oakland Park. The one right there on North Andrews, El Artesanal. Hope I got that right this time. And just overall driving around Oakland Park, I think we have a beautiful city. But yeah, I thank you.
Thank you. Any responses?
No responses.
Okay. Mr. Arnst, your second question, sir.
How about S for Stephen?
S for Stephen, still available. Who is supporting you? that you find notable and why?
Good question.
You picked it.
I understand that. I'm hoping that the whole city of Oakland Park is supporting me, because reason why I'm not singling anyone out, or because that's not fair to anyone, and we're all the same, no matter what your name, what your title is, what anything is. We're all the same. We all put our pants on the same way. So I don't find it's not who's notable. I'm hoping that the whole city's supporting me, because what I've given this city for the last 36 years, I'm constantly, I'm at every meeting, at every meeting, public comments, at all the public hearings, and the reason being is because I'm trying to give input that would help the city move forward and be a better city, and it's right now I don't see that on the commission. I see a bunch of people sitting up there that talk, but they're not challenging the staff. They're not challenging the city manager, and the thing is, you need someone up there to challenge, or the budget. Here's a good thing: the budget. I had plenty of money to be saved in this budget this year, so we didn't have to borrow money from our reserves. So who's supporting me? I hope everyone is, because I'm a candidate for everyone, because I listen to what people have to say, not what the city has to say, but more what the people have to say, because the people are the ones who live in this city, not the staff.
Thank you, Stephen.
No responses.
No responses. Okay. Mitch, you're up next for your second question.
How about V for victory?
V for victory. Okay. What will you do if you're not elected?
Well, there will be no fourth time. For those of you keeping track, this is my third time. And why am I running, one might argue, for 3 times? Well, you look at Abraham Lincoln's electoral record, and he had some losses, and I think people think he turned out to be pretty good, though I never want to be a president. If I don't become elected, I'm still going to stay in Oakland Park. I didn't think of myself as some podcast host. I don't know. This could maybe become something bigger this Saturday, this Oakland Park community check-in. I'll continue to work at Barry University. I'll continue to be in Kiwanis, perhaps some leadership roles with Kiwanis, and continue with the city, and actually, frankly, work with the current commission on a number of initiatives. Regardless of whether I'm knocking on wood, I'm one of the 3 elected, but even if I'm not, I want to work with the future commission on bringing a affordable housing plan to the city. I'm connected and thankfully endorsed by Commissioner Nan Rich of Broward County and Fort Lauderdale Commissioner Ben Sorensen, who have taken the lead in the county and in Fort Lauderdale for bringing affordable and workforce housing. So I would like to work with the commission, if I'm not elected, to make that a reality. Thank you. I yield the rest of my time.
Thank you, Mitch.
No responses.
Thank you, Dawn. Aisha, your second question, please unmute.
I am, thank you.
Hi.
So
Which letter?
I'm going to go with F.
F.
Yes, that's the first letter of my mother's first name.
Okay. F. Do you think the Oakland Park City Commission represents the diversity of the community? What should be changed, if anything?
At the current moment, I do not think that the commission, Oakland Park does not meet the diversity makeup of the city. When you look at the demographics of Blacks living in the city, which is about a little over 27%, the current representation of this demographic makeup is only 20%, as it is now on the commission. But nothing is perfect. If everything was perfect, I wouldn't be running. Therefore, I am running to make the difference.
Was that it?
That is it.
I wanted to make sure I didn't cut you off. Thank you. Great.
No, you didn't cut me off.
Great
Short,
response.
sweet,
Thank
to
you.
the point. Thank you.
Matthew Sparks would like to respond.
Mr. Sparks, this would be your second response.
Yes. While I believe the commission does represent the diversity of the community, it is currently seated, as it is currently seated, more can always be done. While I don't have the ability to choose the diversity of candidates who run, we can engage more residents into the LGA class by sending out multilingual invitations, generally those who have attended the local government academy go on to running for office. And I just wanted to address that. Thank you.
Thank you, Matthew.
No more responses.
Thank you, Dawn. Mr. Thompson.
Let's see, let's go with Jay. That's for my girls, by the way, Jessica and Jody.
Okay, Jay.
Oh, do I support or oppose
The
the?
use of public-private partnerships on city-owned land and why?
I think that, I've said this before, I think that public-private partnerships are normally, and in most situations, are very good for the city. First off, the city never owns the land in most of these public-private partnerships. They own it in the beginning, they sell the land, and they take the revenue from that, and that puts that property back on the tax roll, which will, and I can use the Dixie lots for an example as a public-private partnership. That was land that was owned by the city that had no taxpayer dollars coming in off of it. They sell the property, and now then there's a plan to build it. So that puts that property back on the tax rolls. It's creative. A lot more cities and towns are doing it nationwide and have been for a while. Again, there's lots of benefits to it and I think the biggest one is that it does put property on the tax rolls, and it freshens up parts of the city that may need to be freshened up and renewed and revitalized. And that would be the key reason as to why and why I think it's a good idea. And every single project like that is different, so you have to evaluate them individually for what is the best course of action for city to take. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Any responses?
No responses.
Thank you, Dawn. Scott Herman did not join us, correct?
Correct.
Okay, moving along. Mr. Matthew Sparks, your second question, please.
My second question will be B.
B. Do you think our downtown is healthy and successful? If not, what would you do to change that?
I believe our downtown area is getting there. At this moment in time, I believe our small businesses are doing all they can to hang in there during these challenging times during COVID. With that said, reaching out to developers that we've made friendships with to help guide more businesses to fit our vision should be actually the step of the current seated commission or upcoming commission. Reaching out to people like Amos Chess and Roselli and the like to bring in those players into game.
Thank you, Mr. Sparks.
Thank you.
Responses?
No responses.
Okay, we're going back to the top. The third question for Gracia.
I'm going to go with O.
Oh. Do you feel there's a waste in the city budget? If so, please cite specific areas where you would reduce funding.
I wouldn't necessarily say that there's a waste. I am confident that our financial department is, they make the best decisions that they can make in order, to put the funding where it needs to be when they propose the budgets to the commission. I would say that there could be maybe some shifting of funds. We have a large portion of our budget that goes to police services, for example. And while I'm not for defunding the police, we also only see about 2% of that goes into our library and cultural services, which benefits our children, our senior citizens, and things of that nature, our library services, and all of those services that go back into our community. So I would say that I would like to see some of our funding going to that area more. And if we're not aligning our budget with that, then maybe increasing our efforts in grant funding for those programs to introduce more programs for our children and for our senior citizens. And then our parks and leisure, same thing. When you're talking about a community and we have a family-oriented community, these are areas that I would like to see more money coming into. But I wouldn't necessarily say that I see a waste of our monies going into certain areas of the budget. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mitch would like to respond. I believe this is his last response.
Mitch, this would be your
Yes, I think so.
I think
I may
that
have done
would be I think that's the fourth one,
This would be the
actually.
fourth. I don't believe he has any more responses though, Mitch. I think he did A, T, and Z, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, that's correct.
That's correct.
Okay. It's up to the board.
Well, since we have,
How's the time looking?
since we're missing Scott, we have extra time, so we can go ahead and, if everybody wants to agree to a fourth, we can agree to a fourth secondary response. It'll really only add 6 minutes.
Do all of the candidates agree to that?
I'm okay with it.
Sure.
Okay, let's do a fourth secondary response for everybody.
A couple more responses to make sure that everybody was okay with that. I didn't hear Aisha and I didn't hear Gracia.
Yes,
like-
gave a thumbs up.
Yeah.
Okay, I see some there. Okay.
Okay, then Mitch would have the
This
next response.
This would be Mitch's fourth.
Mitch, this is your fourth and final, sir.
Okay, thank you. One thing I'd like to see, and I think we would see some ways, is do an audit of all the subcontracted services we have in the city. We have subcontracted architects and planners to do what was deemed our OP3D. I understand from business leaders, business people, business leaders, that we subcontract, I didn't know this, plumbers and electricians to do like the the permitting and all stuff for like piping and all of that. And we also subcontract for our community redevelopment agency. Very competent individual, but we keep subcontracting all of this away. We have 4 city planners. We now have, I believe, 4 city planners in the city. Why couldn't they take the lead? I'm not saying there can't be a little consultation, but I think we waste a lot of money through a lot of subcontracting. I don't know if there's ever been a subcontracting audit. So that would be an idea. I'm not saying we do, but that would be something I would look at to see if we can trim,
10 seconds.
if we can trim and maybe use our existing employees a little more. Thank you.
Thank you, Mitch. Dawn, who is next up?
No one for that question.
I am.
Yeah, I think I've seen somebody up there. Stephen?
I apologize. I don't see it.
Yeah, no worries. The chat's moving fast. It's okay. So, Mr. Stephen Arnst, this would be your third response, meaning you would have 1 extra, okay?
No, question. I'm a question.
Oh no, I'm talking about response. So this wasn't a response. Okay, so we didn't have any more responses. We're going to the next question. Thank you, Dawn. You were right on that one. Pardon me. Mr. Arnst, this is your third question.
Okay, I'm going off the grid. Let's go X for X-ray.
Okay. If elected, what would you do to improve the quality of life here in Oakland Park?
Well, the first thing I would do is take money that we've been giving every week or every month to Feeding South Florida, and I would make this a permanent thing, because people don't realize that there are so many people, and not just, this is outside of the pandemic, there's so many people and so many kids that go to bed hungry every night. And it really burns me up and really, you know, I have a son, he's 25 now, he's grown up and he's on his own, but I can't see kids going to school hungry and all they're worried about when they get home at night, they don't have any food to eat. How can they study? How can they even try and concentrate on what they're doing? I have to give the city manager and the city commission 100% of the kudos for this, for giving $3,000 a month to Feed South Florida for this pandemic. I would like to see this actually made a permanent thing and reach out to the people in the city, because there are a lot of people in the city that don't have enough money for the basic things in life. And really, to me, it's sad. And it bothers me, and I stay up at night sometimes thinking about this, because like I say, I was lucky. My son, he grew up and had 2 providers, but there are a lot of people who have 1 provider. They're single parents. They have 2 or 3 kids, maybe 4 kids, and they're having a hard time making ends meet. So good job, city commission. Good job, city manager. I'd like to see this be a permanent thing and put in the budget.
Thank you, Stephen.
No responses.
Okay. Mitch, you're up. Are you there, Mitch?
I apologize. W.
W. The Florida Accountability and Transparency Project, the National Center for Education and Florida Department of Education all rank Oakland Park schools well below average. What will you do to change that if elected?
If I had a magic wand, we'd have 5 A+ schools, but that wand does not exist and the authority is not, unfortunately, right at the city. But here's what I have been doing. Even when I was back in Rotary, I worked with other Rotarians and we painted the foyer of Northeast High School, because that school had not had the paint maintenance that it needed. I've been to the school board a few times, including asking for more money, which the school board approved. But the problem is that the money has been squandered on the east side. Pompano schools, Fort Lauderdale schools, and yes, Northeast High, a poster child for the original bond, that money was squandered. So what can we do? All the city, I understand, can do is, all we do is we can hire our crossing guards and in some ways our security guards, but everything else is county driven. So what I've asked for, I'm glad the commission is doing it now, although Superintendent Runcie just emailed his message last time, I'd like him to physically be present, was to have quarterly meetings. I had advocated for this when there were not quarterly meetings of Superintendent Runcie, and at that point, we'll still Heather Brinkworth, our rep. The good news is I have a very good rapport with Oakland Parks, for most of Oakland Park, but for all 5 of our schools, new school board member, Sarah Leonardi. In fact, I had mentioned at the beginning of this forum that she's coming on my Saturday show, literally this Saturday. If you want information, just email me, what have you, and I'll make sure you can see that. And I'm going to leverage that partnership so she can help us make sure that the projects, the shovel-ready projects, are followed through. There is
20 seconds.
The shovel is in the dirt now for Northeast High, but we have record scores even worse. So I'm going to leverage that relationship with Sarah Leonardi, who cares about our schools and has run on them to improve our schools and get them to A's and B's as much as I can. Thank you.
Robert Thompson would like to respond.
Yes, thank you. I've been fighting about the schools for the past 2 years. When I ran in 2018, I ran on the fact that our schools were absolutely awful. And what basically has been happening is they've been kicking the can down the road. And the most recent commission meeting, Runcie came in, it was via Zoom, and what we thought we were going to have a completed school project has now been kicked down the road a little bit further. They continue to kick it down the road. And all we can do as a commission is hold the school board accountable. I met with Sarah Leonardi back in January when you could actually meet physically face to face. And I talked with her as well. And I told her that I says it's important maybe for us to change leadership in the board, and that I was in full support of her to get leadership change, so maybe somebody would actually pay attention to our schools and the people that are complaining about the schools, because it affects so many things about our great city. And I will continue to be that voice. Thank you.
Just a reminder, folks, thank you, Robert. Just please keep your microphones on mute if you're not up to bat, please. Thank you.
No other responses.
Thank you, Dawn.
And we're coming up into 10 minutes to 8. Just want to keep,
Okay.
do we have time for?
Yeah, we're doing, this meeting is set till 8:30, isn't it?
Oh, I'm sorry.
We're doing really good on time.
Oh, great. Well then, forge ahead, please.
Okay. Aisha, your third question, please.
I don't believe that the letter C has been chosen. So I'm going to go with C.
Is available.
What letter did you say?
Did you say C for Charles?
Yes.
All right.
C, as in Charles.
It's on the board. Thank you.
You're
How
welcome.
do you plan to involve residents in the decision-making process in Oakland Park? Aisha?
Okay, yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Thank you. So one of the things that I've been talking about with neighbors, and I've been standing firm on this, standing firm with this belief, is we need to get we need to get information out to residents in advance of a project. We need to give them time. I know we have the neighborhood meetings, but we need to give them time to weigh in on these projects, express their, have that input and express their point of views on projects. Because a lot of times what I've observed is once the projects have gone through the whole process and it reaches the dais, it gets in front of the commission, and then I've seen where residents, have different view of that project. They don't like that project. I think that's a little bit too late. So one of the things that I would like to see is getting that information in advance, and also I would like to see what we call a listening session, if necessary, so that we can gather input from residents about ongoing and future projects. I would like to have projects thoroughly explained to residents so they can understand exactly how it's going to impact them as residents, how it's going to impact the city economically, and all other ways. So getting the information out in advance so they can have a weigh-in and some input prior to it reaching the commission. So that's one of the things that I would like to do and see happened. And thank you very much.
Rachel would like to respond.
Rachel would like to respond?
Yeah, thank you. So civic engagement is actually part of my platform, where I plan to leverage my relationships with civic organizations and groups that I'm already a part of, to ensure that the work that's already being done on a county level, how we can bring that down to a local level. My apologies. In terms of expanding voter education, increasing community and youth involvement in political and non-political processes, ensuring transparent and accountable leadership within our local government to restore that faith in our government from our residents and our business owners, increasing our community participation meetings so that residents know about projects prior to their getting to their final stages, and things of that nature. So definitely making it a more inclusive process, and working with leaders in the community that are already doing the work, and just seeing how we can bring this work to the residents' doors if we haven't been able to get their attention with all of the efforts that we've currently been making. Thank you.
Thank you.
Matthew would like to respond.
Mr. Sparks.
Yeah, I just wanted to note that that for some of you that were out there, that, you know, I truly enjoyed the resident interaction that took place at Collins Community Center on multiple occasions with the hands-on planning session that gave residents a chance to be included in the planning on multiple levels and created a sense of trust. I think we need more of those types of projects or those types of interactions with our residents, and not so much an 11th hour response so we can avoid this 11th hour response from our residents and the citizens. So that would be my take on that. Thank you.
The dog had the same take. That's good.
No more responses.
No more? Okay.
No.
Mr. Thompson, your third question.
I'm going to choose E as in Elizabeth, which is a name of my two, my daughter and my stepdaughter.
If someone came to you with a new proposal to build a new piece of public infrastructure in our city, how would you evaluate whether the project was worth implementing?
Well, public infrastructure, and it's even the wording of the question is almost like, for the lack of a better term, an oxymoron, because public and infrastructure is a public planning project, so it would be public infrastructure. I pondered this question for a few minutes when I was trying to evaluate. I guess it would have to be, what is the project? You know, you're asking, it's a very, very hypothetical thing, and hypothetical questions have a million answers, and there's only one that somebody's looking for, and I don't know which one to choose. So as a public infrastructure or an infrastructure issue, I would have to look at the project and evaluate every step of the project to see what the value is and whether it actually is a infrastructure issue or somebody, a private company wanting to do something that they're going to say is an infrastructure or public issue, and when it may not be. So everything, you know, in a question like this, in the hypothetical aspect of it, it's hard to answer without seeing what the project is. If you told me what a specific project was, I could probably give you a very, very definitive answer. But in this one, it's very hypothetical because I don't know what it is, and I don't pretend to know everything. And I'm not going to give you rhetoric on how this question should be answered. But I would, if it came to me and I knew what the project was, there would be a passion that I have for what I do that that I would give a valuable answer and have something worth speaking out on. Thank you.
Stephen would like to respond.
Stephen?
Yes, thank you. Well, Robert's right. A piece of infrastructure is what goes in the ground or above over the head. I think what they were talking about is a project, a new project coming to the city, because infrastructure is what the city does. It's not what private enterprises do. Cable, electricity, water, sewer, stormwater, et cetera, et cetera. But I wouldn't be the one who evaluates whether the project was worth implementing. That has to go before the planning, not the planning zone, but the planning department, and they're the ones who decide, you know, whether it meets the criteria of the city. I'm not the one who decides that. I'm just
20 seconds.
I'm just one of the 5 policymakers that tell the city manager what we should be doing with our city, not what project should be coming into the city or not.
Thank you, Stephen.
No more responses.
Thank you, Dawn. Mr. Sparks, your third question.
Let's go for Q. Okay.
What is your opinion of the city manager and the job he is doing? 2 minutes.
You asked it.
I read it.
Okay. Well, it's quick, so I'll keep it quite quick. And I probably will surprise most of you. Well, the city manager has a vision, and I think we can agree on some of it. He's doing a pretty good job. However, he does not take direction well, and I feel that it's been my experience that proposals or union negotiations, I'm not getting the full story or the full impact of what he is proposing, which may impact my confidence in him. Do I feel that it can be corrected? Maybe, but he is not receptive to confrontation. And I yield the rest of my time.
Thank you, sir. Any responses, Dawn?
No, no responses.
So we have 9 unanswered questions, so we can go for a round 4 in the same order we've been going, since we got time, if everybody's up to it.
Let's do it.
All the candidates
In agreement?
okay with that?
I'm okay.
Yes.
Good.
Great.
Okay, one more round. We start at the top.
Okay. Aisha.
I'm going to go with K.
Okay, Kay's coming up. Kay may be coming up. There we go. Changes to the Oakland Park Square project, increased height, density, and live work units. Do you support these changes and why?
I think I stated earlier that I'm not in favor of the height changes. While I do understand that it was something that was asked by some members of the community and some members of the commission because of the power lines and the sky bridge, I think that it sets a precedent for future development. Although future development will have to go before, I believe, the boards and the commission for approval. It just sets that precedent for future development, and if we could keep it at the height that it's already at, while we're ensuring that it's not impacting the surrounding communities and the businesses and things of that nature, it's something that I would certainly review or take a second look at. Thank you.
Thank you.
No responses.
No responses? Okay, Mr. Arnst.
How about Yankee?
Yankee. Okay. Coming up. What is your vision for the west side of Oakland Park, west of 95?
Well, what we really have to do is we have to get a consultant that comes in here, and the commission has to decide what they want to look for in the west side. I would like to see pretty much what we've done for the east side. It's not going to be an easy thing to do because the demographics and the businesses and everything on the west side are completely different from the east side. And I hate, changing, making west and east, the city of west and east a city, because it's one big city. But yes, the western side does need a makeover. We need some continuity and with this. I just don't see it as is right now. There's a mishmash of projects going in there, and then I don't think that anything's been thought of properly, especially with the self-storage units that are just west of 21st Avenue. I mean, obviously they don't look like self-storage units, but I think I don't think they were put in properly. I think they were put in haphazardly, and we need a plan, a zoning plan, an overlay plan for the west side of Oakland Park Boulevard, and not so much Commercial Boulevard, but Oakland Park Boulevard from about Andrews Avenue West.
Robert would like to respond.
Robert,
Yes, the west side of Oakland Park is probably the most, as I like to call it, the poor stepchild of the city of Oakland Park. We seem to be neglected in a lot of development. I think what needs to be done is we need to identify what we have in the west side. You know, basically from Andrews, the west side of Andrews, all the way out to the city limit sign. And we need to find out what's available, what we can do, and how it's zoned. And if we have to change the zoning to fit the makeup of our west side to give the people in the west side the things that they would like to have, you know, a nice restaurant and a grocery store. You know, those two small things that become really major obstacles because we have to find a place to put them. So we need to identify what we have. And, you know, if we have to take a walk and walk it through the neighborhood, through those places to find what we have, then we need to do that and get a definitive plan set up for the west side of the city. Thank you.
thank you, Mr. Thompson. I believe Aisha, Dawn?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Aisha.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
What I would like to see for the west side, and this is just not what I would like to see, this is what people living on the west side would like to see. We would like to see more vibrant development. We would like to see, some residents have said they would like to see, you know, a food market, a supermarket. Some people have said they would like to see something like the promenade or the promenades up in Coconut Creek, that type of development. When the storage facilities,
20 seconds.
when the storage facility was being proposed and it was approved by the commission, I was probably one of the few people who stood up at that commission meeting and said that that storage facility was congruent to the west side of the neighborhood. So.
And your time's up.
Aisha, thank you for your response.
You're welcome.
No more responses.
One more. Thank you, Dawn. So, Mitch.
Let's go with you.
Okay. What will you do differently, if anything, to address the homeless issue and housing crisis than the current commission has taken?
I'm glad I got this question. A few months ago, I learned that Wilton Manors had a, I'm sorry, Jeff just needs to mute his.
Jeff?
Sorry. A few months ago, I learned that Wilton Manors has a some sort of fund for first-time homeowners. And I don't know anything about it, but on the commission, you know, I would want to learn more about it. Wouldn't that be great? For one thing to do is if we can have a fund in Oakland Park for people who are first-time homeowners, obviously not, you know, there has to be an application process and things like that. I was talking to a realtor friend of mine just the other day, and he said on that day, he was referencing, I'm going to get the numbers a little off, that of all the homes for sale in Oakland Park, like in the past week or past month or so, and it was like 320 or 340,000. Okay, he said there were dollars. He said about 25 homes were for sale under 320,000 or 340. So clearly we have a lot of residents who can afford that, but we have residents who can't. And this is going to become increasingly an issue that people who want to buy homes are going to be priced out of the city. This would be part of this affordable housing plan, workforce housing that I talked about earlier. And workforce housing is for people like, you know, police officers and social workers and nurses and you know, dental hygienists and who are professionals who, you know, can't probably afford with some of the salaries. I'll attest to it. When I was a social worker, not with a doctorate, we don't make much money. So I think these are some things to do.
1 second.
The other thing I would suggest is coordinating BSO's homeless response with the volunteer corps and beefing that up to strategize with that. Thank you.
Matthew would like to respond.
Hi, yeah. Just real quick, I just wanted to go through this because I just wanted to add as far as the homeless issue. First, I'd really like to put this contention between the city and the issues with the soup kitchen to rest. That's one of the things I would like to tackle and help facilitate some type of resolution. As to the housing crisis, I'm unclear if you're asking about affordable housing or housing for the homeless. So I'm just going to go with the answer that 211 is available for those who need help finding immediate shelter. And just to add to, and I would propose that, okay, just to add to Mitchell's question, that's a county program, the one that Wilton Manors has posted. Just FYI.
Thank you, Mr. Sparks.
No more responses.
Aisha.
That time again. Okay, so I'm going to go with the letter R.
I believe R was taken already.
Taken, that was taken. So I'm going to go with V.
V was also taken. V for victory.
Yes, I remember that. Okay, so let me go with M.
Also,
M as in mother. What about, okay. What about P?
He is available.
He is available.
Okay.
We got a winner.
Sounds good.
Whoop, maybe.
Following the COVID crisis, there's sure to be a budget crisis. What would you suggest as the first budgeted cuts to try and balance the city budget?
Okay. Well, there was a question earlier that talked about, I believe the question was, do we believe that there's waste in the budget? And that's kind of difficult to answer. That question was not posed to me. However, under these circumstances, after the COVID, following the COVID crisis, I would like to make sure that if there's any waste in the budget, or projects that's not projects that we need to address right away, I would like to see those projects delayed if possible and transfer the funds to projects that should be done now in this budget cycle. So that's what I would certainly do. Reallocate the priorities, and take care of the priorities first. First thing first.
Excellent, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any responses? Stephen, Mr. Arnst.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Real quickly, I wish Aisha would have been there and talked about the budget, because I was at every budget meeting. And let me tell you what, this year, if any one of you would have read the budget, you would have known that we have the largest CIP projects since we've been doing CIP projects. And 58% of them are funded by grants, but there's 42% of them that are funded by the general budget. Those, and I said to the commission too, that these should be put off on a year where you've lost revenue. You don't go out and spend more money than you have, and that's exactly what the city's doing right now. They're
20 seconds.
They're spending money that they don't have. They're having to borrow from their reserves, and it's just not right. And I wish more people would actually read the budget to know. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen.
If there's still a response for him, Matthew Sparks would like to reply.
Matthew is at 4 right now. This would be his 5th, from what I see.
Okay.
Can I get a confirmation on that?
I can confirm that, and I'm not
That's
sure.
confirmed.
Yeah, and we're at 14. We're going to have 10 minutes of closing comments, so I don't know if we can have any additional comments.
Okay, you may, okay, thank you. Thank you for the confirmation. Mr. Robert Johnson.
All right, let's see. We have like 4 letters left. Give me H, please.
H is available.
Cross it off now.
If you received $1 million to grant to use for the city any way you wanted, what would you do with it and why?
Another one of those wonderful hypotheticals, but and I looked at this and I thought about what would I do with $1 million to put towards my city? I would put it towards youth programs. I would put it towards senior programs. I would put it towards things that would benefit as many possible people as we could in the city through activities and events and places, things for people to do. Because as a grant, it should be used in the most effective way towards the public use. And I think right now we lack a little bit. I shouldn't say a little bit. We lack a lot in our senior services, and we could probably do more for our kids. I consider the kids the lifeblood of any great city, and the best thing we do to keep kids here is to give them a good education, give them a reason to stay, so they can become the future leaders of our city, future leaders of our state and our country. And by educating them and giving them a reason to stay, they become the businessmen. They become the business people. I shouldn't say men because it's kind of should be more gender. But it's but they become business leaders of our city and bring us to a better place where everybody should want to be. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Any responses?
Stephen would like to respond, but I don't know.
Yeah, he's used up his time as well.
Stephen, I'm sorry. You're out of bullets.
No problem.
Any other responses?
Oh.
Matthew Sparks, your next question.
I'm sorry. It looked like Aisha wanted to respond, and she is available to.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you, Joanne.
Thank you both.
Sorry about that.
No problem, no problem. So what I would do if I had $1 million in grant funds, I will assess the most needed areas that need financial help. Our small businesses are suffering. They need help.
She can't remember.
I'm sorry, Aisha. I'm sorry to interrupt. Could you please mute, please? Thank you. There you go, Aisha. Sorry, pardon me. I wanted to make sure you were getting your time. No, Aisha, there was somebody else that you were getting feedback that had muted, and I wanted to make sure folks can hear you. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so with the $1 million in a grant, free money, the first thing I would do is assess the most needed areas. Who needs the financial help? So currently, our small businesses are suffering. Some of them have closed their doors. They need that money. They need to revamp themselves to stay sustainable. So I will also, any emergency urgent infrastructure project, I would certainly want to donate some money towards those efforts as well. And people who need what I would say a hands up, not a hands out, but a hands up in any way possible that would help relieve some of the burden after the COVID-19. We can help people pay their rent or mortgages. I can't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry, 10 seconds.
Oh, okay.
Give her another 10 seconds on top because she was cut off in the beginning.
Okay,
Sure.
Thank you. You guys are beating up on me tonight. I'm just joking. Can you hear me?
Yes.
One of the priorities on my platform is to engage youth. I would like to see the youth engage into finance and educational classes at an early age. And so that will be something that I would consider as a good funding source. Thank you.
Aisha, thank you for your response and your patience. So I'm sorry about that microphone.
Not a problem.
From another party, we just wanted to make sure you got your full time and people heard you. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it. You're so welcome.
No other response.
Next question, I'm sorry, was there another response, Dawn?
No, no other response.
Mr. Sparks, your final question.
Let's go. N as in Nancy.
It's open.
Okay, if I'm correct.
What makes you the best candidate to lead this city forward at this moment in history?
Okay. Well, okay, as currently seated mayor who has led the city through a pandemic, as well as having served the city for the past 4 years, I believe I'm uniquely qualified to continue to serve as well as lead the city as a commissioner in this time in history. You know, I'll just put the notes aside. I honestly think that, you know, I've done a really great job as far as what we've been dealt with on the dais. Sure, we've had some hiccups. I mean, what commission hasn't? But I think that at this particular time in history, I think we've done a really good job. I will probably add to that that, you know, years ago when I spoke in 2016, I asked for an ad valorem to stay steady like you would have a cable bill. And had that happened, we would see a lot more dollars in the bank right now. I don't think that you have to necessarily follow the trend to make yourself or your commission look better by raising or lowering the rate, especially in an election year. Yes, I did vote for the lowering. It was a minute one at best, but they were trying to offset. I think what they were trying to do, it was offset the hit of the first bond taxation. Thank you.
10 seconds.
Thank you, Mr. Sparks. Were there any responses?
No.
I think that's going to conclude our questions. If I can get somebody to confirm that.
Yes, now it is time for
a 90-second wrap-up by each candidate. And the order will actually reverse, I believe, now. Yes, it will. So we're going with Matthew Sparks for your closing arguments. Or the
Okay, so really no closing arguments from me. I think each of us have a unique and different approach to how we handle ourselves or how we perceive that we're going to handle ourselves on the dais. I think, you know, as far as a 90-second wrap-up, like I said, I think I've done a very good job in representing, listening to when North Andrews Gardens didn't really care for some of the project points that SEBA Group had. We listened when Lloyd Estates didn't want the sidewalks. We listened, you know, when the oak tree came into play. We listened to everybody and came to a conclusion or a decision where everybody left the table happy. So, and I'll add that put a lot of money into the tax roll, and you're going to see those people transfer the city over to 21st Avenue, where you will get business. If you do put a grocery store there, they'll want us to shop on that side of town. So I hope you vote for me on November 3rd, 2020.
I'm going to jump in real quick for Scott Herman. When I originally sent out all of the information and the invitations, and I have been communicating with him regularly, he did say today was a travel day for him and there was a chance he would not be able to join us. He would be either in an airplane or in a car. So I didn't speak up earlier because I was kind of hoping that he would join in at some point. But since he hasn't, I don't want anybody to hold that against him. He did give us warning. He did not stand us up.
Okay, thank you, Scott. Appreciate that. Mr. Mayor, Matthew Sparks, thank you for your closing 90 seconds. We appreciate it. Your next up would be Mitch, 90 seconds.
Thank you. And again,
No,
thank
no, no, wait a minute. You got that backwards.
Is it actually
Robert.
It's Robert, Aisha, Mitch.
Okay, little bump in the road. It's okay. This is how we do things on Zoom nowadays. I want to thank the COPNA group for putting this together, because I think it was very important to get to help us get our message out in the COVID era that we live in. I feel what I bring to the commission is I bring diversity, I bring inclusiveness. I will listen to the people. I've been saying that for a long time. I listen and I will respond to the people. The people are the ones that elect you. And I was told once that you can't throw a commissioner out, but yes, you can. Every 4 years, you can vote for somebody else. If the person's not doing their job, it is the voter's responsibility to use their voice at the voting booth. I firmly believe that when I've campaigned before and won, and I've campaigned before and lost. And so I like to say, I call myself the people's candidate. I've called myself that for years because I will listen. I will listen to what you have to say, because you are the ones that are giving me a job and entrusting me to do the job for you. The people that reach out to me, I will respond. If I leave one legacy as a commissioner, I will have done my job that I said I would do. Thank you very much. And vote for me on November 3rd, 2020.
Robert, thank you very much. Aisha.
Yes, thank you very much for this opportunity to speak for the next 90 minutes. I have a passion for serving people. I am ready to lend my hands and my heart to serving the residents of Oakland Park. I am committed. I have a vision. I am going to stand firm on those, on the priorities that you have told me about. You want safety. You want to see the bridging of the gap between the east and west side, and you want to protect the natural preserves in this area. You want to keep a balance of building and nature. That's something that I stand firmly on. I have the education, I have the experience. I've been the president of my association for 16 years. I look at my community as a small city. So I look forward to your vote and your support on November 3rd. Thank you so very much. And thank you very much to COPNA for hosting this event. Be safe.
Thank you, Aisha. Mitch, you're up next.
So thank you to COPNA and for everybody for participating, including all of the candidates. I have demonstrated leadership working with some of the board or all of the board here to keep COPNA sustained, and frankly, even holding a candidates forum is a testament to that strength and the leadership that I have built, not just in the Corals, but also citywide with the coalition. And I think I'm very nimble and flexible. And I said, what can I do for my city during a pandemic when we all can't meet? And so I got fluent on the digital networks of something like Zoom, Be Live, and every Saturday have brought speakers in to help us with news and information and managing stress throughout our city. I bring a researcher's critical mind. I am a consensus builder, but I am not afraid to be the lonely vote on the commission to say no or to say yes to something. I absolutely am my own person, and I bring the heart of a social worker. It's time for this time in history, it's time that you vote for a researcher and a social worker for the commission. Thank you all for hosting again, and for more information, please visit mitchrosenwald.com, and thank you for your vote on November 3rd.
Mitch, thank you. Mr. Arnst.
Thank you very much, COPNA, for having this tonight. It's always an excellent job you do. Scott, I mean, Jeff Barnes, you guys do a great job, and Mitch too. I mean, you're not involved in this, but you are involved in it. So I really like to thank you. But first of all, I want to go back to one question about the $1 million grant. $1 million grant, what I would like to see done with that, even though I ran out of time, is I would like to see the seniors in the city have another exemption, an extra exemption, because seniors on fixed income can't afford the raising taxes, the raising of their insurance, raise of everything. So I'd love to see that $1 million if we ever got one go to the seniors in the city. If you want someone who's going to hit the ground running, who knows what is what and all the rules and how to run this city, because I've done it for 16 years before, and knows how to get consensus on projects and not rubber stamp projects like this last project of the where Kmart used to be. I would have put their pedal down and made sure that we got solar on top of there and water reuse. Otherwise, their project wouldn't have gotten built. So if you want someone who's going to be someone who challenges the city and challenges the rest of the commission to get the best of the
20
city,
seconds.
you're looking at them. I've done this before, and I'd love to do it again because I love serving people. I may be number 6 on this list right now, but I'm number 1 on the ballot. Please vote for me, and I'm asking for your vote on November 3rd. Stephen Arnst for Oakland Park City Commission. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. And last but not least, Gracia.
Thank you. So I'd like to close by saying that as a voter, we have the option of choosing someone with who will not only represent us and our community, but also someone who reflects and shares the same values, and more importantly, who provides an optimistic future for our children, our senior citizens, and our future and existing residents. I look forward to being that representation for my community and speaking on behalf of you all while also taking on your concerns and the issues. I strongly believe that together we can and will deliver meaningful and diversified change to the city of Oakland Park, while also building upon existing leadership and the values of our community. With that said, I look forward to earning your support on Tuesday, November 3rd. I am number 4 on the ballot. And I invite you all to join me on my campaign journey by visiting our website at greciasmith.com to learn more about our campaign and how to get involved. Together we can and will march Oakland Park forward. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes that portion of the forum. I guess it's moderated comments. I would like to once again thank COPNA for the community involvement and their ownership into the city of Oakland Park. I'd like to thank all of the candidates that have participated tonight. It seems that we have a fabulous selection to choose from, a very diverse group, something that's really needed in today's age. And I want to make sure and I reiterate, for the last 8 years, I've been part of the Oakland Park Business Group, the small business community. And what I've witnessed over the last 4 to 5 months, the carnage that this COVID has left the city, nationwide, citywide, but just here locally. Some of the conversations I've had with business owners, the relationships that I've made, there's a lot of hurt. And we're gonna need a lot of strong leaders to represent our city, to push us forward. And we're gonna have to make sure we stay together. Excuse me a second. So on that note, I'd like to wish everybody the best of luck. Our next Oakland Park Business Group meeting will be the last Monday of October. And we're looking forward to seeing everybody out there supporting small business. Details to come. So thank you so much. Best of luck.
And turn that over to Jeff.
Charles, thank you so much for hosting our candidates forum again. You did a fantastic job, and we appreciate you taking out your time and supporting Oakland Park as you always do. I want to thank all of the candidates for participating tonight. It means a lot to us that you take your time out during such a busy time of the campaign to speak with us and to speak to our members. And we very much appreciate that. And I want to thank all the board members for all of their contributions to making this all happen. And again, thanks to our technical advisor and meeting IT person, Scott Rivelli, for putting this all together and keeping us going. I wish all of you a very safe and happy rest of your year. And please remember to vote. If you do mail-in ballots, fill them in right away and get them back to the supervisor of elections as quickly as you can. Thank you all for your participation.
Thank you, everyone. Not bad. We're only 4 minutes overtime. Thank you.
Great job, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Charles.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Joanne, is your brother,
Yeah.
Kevin?
No, but I get that a lot, actually.
I Kevin Hussy, and they had a sister whose name was Joanne.
Isn't that funny? No, it's my husband's last name. But yeah, I do get that a lot.
I didn't know it was you because it's been so long since I've seen her. I mean, it's been probably 40 years.
Very
Joanne,
good.
thank you for the assistance.
Thanks, Charles.
Yeah, good luck to everybody.
Good job.
Thank you so much.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night, Jack.
You all did a terrific job. Thank you, guys.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I feel like we're on the Waltons. Good night. Good night. Good night.